Hey guys, Kick Grip here. Today we are going to be taking a look at a piece of repro gear for the first time on this channel. Here we have the Modular Assault Pack or MAP Pack from a company called 3F Supply. 3F Supply is formerly known as L.A.R.P Tactical, and they're best known for making really awesome reproductions of older Eagle Industries kit, namely the RRV, the MBAV, the MBSS, and some of the harder to find pouches from the old RLCS kit. So this is a really awesome, faithful reproduction of the Eagle MAP Pack, which is getting much harder to find. And if you do find it, people are trying to sell them for an arm and a leg. Right off the bat, I do want to say I do have some experience with this pack. I think that it's extremely well made. All of the stitches are bar tacked, and it's very faithful to the original MAP Pack. So in this video, we are going to first start by taking a very close look at this 3F Supply MAP Pack, as well as comparing it to a real Eagle Industries Modular Assault Pack. And then we're going to take a look at all the different ways that we can configure this to not only get this onto our back as a backpack, but as well as attach it to different kinds of kit. So I do want to thank Venture Surplus for sending out this MAP Pack for me to review and give you guys some good feedback on. So even though this thing was sent out to me, I do have some constructive criticisms here. So I'm going to be very honest in this video. But I do highly recommend it right off the bat, all right? Venture Surplus has a lot of the stuff from 3F Supply on their website, namely the RRV, the MAP Pack, and most of their pouches. And they also gave us a discount code. So if you use discount code KickCreep at checkout, you get 10% off your entire order. So definitely stay tuned for the whole video, for the whole review on the MAP Pack. But I do want to say, I definitely recommend it. I think it's worth your money, and especially if you use that discount code. So I definitely want to thank Venture Surplus for not just sending this out, but also hooking us up with that discount code. So the links will be in the description. Definitely check them out. And let's take a really close look at the Modular Assault Pack. Now, like I said, this is a reproduction of the Eagle MAP Pack. So I do have a real Eagle MAP Pack here that we are going to compare it to, because of course this is a improved version of the original. So we're going to take a look at that. Now, of course, MAP stands for Modular Assault Pack. So that means that this thing has a lot of really cool bells and whistles, and we are going to look at all the different ways that we can mount this to our bodies. Now, that's the modular aspect of it. What is an assault pack? Now, the US military is known for having pack systems, right? We have our main ruck, like this large Alice pack we see here, and then we have a subload system, commonly referred to as the assault pack. The idea here is that you would ruck out into the field with your main ruck. The main ruck is going to contain all of your sustainment items, right? Things that are going to sustain you throughout your entire mission. And then the subload system, the assault pack, is going to be what you carry during a raid or a patrol. This sustains you throughout the duration of your mission, and then the assault pack sustains the violence, right? So the assault pack is going to carry extra magazines, some snacks, right? Some quick energy, as well as water. If you get dehydrated and die, well, then you're not really much use during an assault, as well as carrying some weapon cleaning kits, an extra bolt carrier group, frag grenades, stuff like that, right? All right, so starting with the outside of the MAP Pack, we have two compression straps here, which are really great for being able to make sure that whatever's inside of your pack is going to be nice and tight. Now, on this pack, we do have two compartments. We have the main compartment, which goes all the way from the top to the bottom of the pack, so you can get a lot of really good storage inside of this thing. And then we also have a smaller bottom pocket. So that means that you can organize your gear a little bit better. So for this little bottom pocket here, I mainly use this for quick access items. This would hold things like things for inclement weather, like a level 4 wind shirt or even a Gore-Tex rain jacket, something that you want to pull out very quickly, but also, things for sustaining the violence. You can throw magazines or, frag grenades in here and just very easily grab them, pull them out, and just start using those things, right? And then in the main pack, you can store things like water, food, maybe some cold weather layers, things that you don't need to have as quick access to, things that aren't as urgent. Staying on the outside of the pack, we do have a big old loop panel on the front here. That loop panel is good for holding things like ID markers or US flags. I like putting US flags on my pack because I love America, and I hope you do too. Or things like chem lights. This is just a little shotgun caddy that I've got some little 4-inch chem lights on, which is really cool. Now it does have some pretty hefty zippers on here. It's got some pretty gnarly teeth on it, so it's pretty good quality, very durable. Now these do not use YKK zippers. I don't see a brand on here, but they feel really good quality. I like them a lot. They also got these big old pieces of paracord pull tabs on here. They originally had them hanging off just the end, but I kind of got fancy with it just because I didn't need them to be so long. They're kind of a snag hazard. What I will say about these zipper pulls is they're kind of noisy, right? And they were much noisier before I set up the paracord the way that it is. It just kind of keeps them from clanking around on each other as badly. But personally, if noise is a big concern for you, I would just take some wire cutters, clip off the metal pull tabs, and just use the paracord. And I do think it's nice that they included the paracord just in case you needed to do that. Now, coming around to the back of the Assault Pack, we do see the tag down here, which is nice. But we do have some really big pieces of MOLLE webbing or PALS webbing, right? So this is how you're going to mount the Assault Pack to a MOLLE back panel, but there are several ways that you can mount this either to your load carriage system, plate carrier, or even your back. And we are going to go over all of those mounting solutions in just a bit. So looking at the sides of the Assault Pack, we see 2 columns of webbing and then 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. So that's great for carrying things like MOLLE pouches. So with that webbing on the side here, you can mount things like a double M4 mag. This is a real Eagle RLCS double M4 mag. And then here we have a real Eagle RLCS flashbang pouch. So the reason why I like to mount them upside down is so that without even having to take the pack off, if you have this MOLLE mounted to your back, you can reach behind you and you can rip this down and then the mag will come right out. So you're able to do that from behind. Same thing with the flashbang grenade. You're able to pop that open, let that fall out into your hand, and then go ahead and use that. And the other cool thing is that if you are using the Assault Pack as an Assault Pack for sustaining the violence, instead of filling up this front pouch with heavy magazines, thus setting the weight of those heavy loaded magazines farther away from your back, which isn't very good for just general load carriage, but also in terms of freeing up space, you can have 2 double M4 mag pouches on the sides. That allows you to get a total of 4 magazines on your back that are readily accessible and also holds them closer to your back. And lastly, looking at the inside of the pouch, we do see that there is a piece of mesh spacer webbing, and what that does is it allows you to hold something like a water bladder. So that little divider is going to make sure that your water bladder stands up straight and it's not going to sag, and keep it separate from all the other things that you have inside of your pack. Now, I am a huge fan of the Camelback Antidote bladder. I think that these are cool. It gets you 3 liters. They're also, they're shorter and wider as opposed to really tall and thin. And I personally think that it works pretty well inside of the pack. This is supposed to be an improved map pack. A huge improvement would be to see a little piece of webbing up here, like we see in my old Camelback Mule, that can hook on to this little hook at the top of the Antidote. What that's going to do is it's going to further prevent it from sagging, and it's going to hold it up straight, so that way it's not going to just sag to the bottom and all the water is just going to be down here. You know, all the weight is just going to be at the bottom of the pack. So as an improved version of the original map pack, it would have been really nice to see a spot for this to hook onto. Now, of course, like the original map pack, we do see that there is a little pass through here, so that way you can pass the tube into the pack, so you can have it either come out the top or either side of the map pack. It's nice because that just gives you some options. I personally like to have it coming out the left side. That way my right side, where my stock is going to go, is not going to be hindered by this. It's not going to get in the way. So I'll have it hanging off my left side. Now, the other cool thing about the matte pack being an assault pack meant for people who are going to be going on raids and doing some cool breaching stuff, we do see that there is a Velcro pocket on the back of the pack here. Now, the reason that that is there is going to be for things like breach charges or a breaching tool. Now, I don't have breach charges or breaching tools, but I do have an ice tool. So we'll just pretend that this ice tool here is like bolt cutters or a little mini Halligan thing. But what's nice is you can just snug up that Velcro there, and then when you need to go grab it, when it's on your back, you can just reach behind yourself, and then that Velcro is going to fail and then allow it to be pulled out, and then you can have someone put it back in just like that. Now, next up, I want to talk about the color of this matte pack. Now, 3F Supply really prides themselves on the color matching that they did, really trying to get it to look like the original Ranger green from Eagle. Now, while we have these real Eagle RLCS pouches here on the table, let's go ahead and compare. So as you can see, this double M4 pouch here, it seems a bit lighter than the pack. Now, the thing about a lot of these older Eagle RLCS pouches is that they're sun bleached. So over time, they go from a very dark green, kind of like what we see here on this pouch. Now, of course, the flap here is a lighter, different colored piece of nylon, but the actual body of the pouch is a little bit darker, and you can see that it matches the matte pack a little bit better because this pouch seems to be a little less sun bleached. This pouch here on the side, however, is much more sun bleached. So in terms of the coloring, I think that it's so new, and it hasn't had, you know, time to just get sun bleached and fade like some of these things that are like over 20 years old at this point. But if we look at, say, a real Eagle RRV compared to the 3F Supply, I think they did a really good job. You can see that the green of the 3F matte pack and then the darker greens of the RRV here look very similar, especially here on the back. I think they got really close, honestly. So for all of you purists out there, I do think that this looks the part. I think that it can very easily blend in with some real Eagle RLCS stuff. It's just that it's very new, right? So if you want this to look a little bit more like these very old pouches here, then you're probably gonna have to let it sit out in the sun and fade a bit. Like I said before, the 3F Supply matte pack is the improved matte pack, so it should be an improvement over the original Eagle matte pack. Now, comparing this 3F Supply Ranger Green matte pack to this Eagle SFLCS, or Special Forces Load Carriage System khaki matte pack, there are no differences. The SFLCS, the biggest difference, it's khaki, of course, but aside from the color, we have real ITW Nexus buckles here. We also have real YKK zippers. And like I said with the 3F Supply, lots of jingling from those zippers. We still have this back pocket here, the Velcro back pocket. We still have the top and bottom compression straps. We still have the main compartment up here that has that spacer mesh divider for hydration system. It's still got the same amount of volume. It's still got this bottom pocket down here. We have webbing on the sides here. So aside from that, these things are effectively identical, all right? Now, the biggest difference between the 3F Supply improved matte pack and the real RLCS matte pack is this was just under $100, and the only RLCS matte pack that I could find on eBay is listed for like $750. So this is worth it, 100% worth it, all right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. This Eagle SFLCS matte pack is awesome, and this 3F Supply matte pack is also awesome, all right? Now, I'm not mad that this is basically identical to this. I just think that it's strange that being called the iMap, the improved matte pack, I'm not seeing any improvements, all right? All right, so enough of the general overview. Let's talk about how we can actually mount this thing. This pack did not come with any way of being able to wear this as a backpack. Personally, I think that as the improved map pack, it would have been really beneficial to be able to just wear this on your back as a backpack from the factory. I think that would have been great. I would have loved to see some thin little nylon straps that are just good enough for being able to wear this at all on your back. Just have them stowed in here and then have some little system of, clipping them in and wearing this as a backpack, but there is none. So you have to get creative. Venture Surplus already did a video showing you how you can use L.A.R.P straps in order to mount this to your back. I'm not going to show you how to do that. Luke already did a great job of demonstrating how to get L.A.R.P straps on here. But if you don't like the look of the L.A.R.P straps or the feel of them, I really don't like having those big, bulky straps on such a little pack. So if you're like me, I'm going to show you some other little creative ways to get this on your back. So the first way that I'm going to show you how to get this on your back is the most ghetto. So this thing is made to put backpack straps on a shotgun scabbard or a rifle case. What I was immediately attracted to was this full PALS webbing here on the back of it. So what you can do is you buy this thing for I think it was like 20 bucks, and then you can just go ahead and thread the molly. I'm going to probably fast forward through this because it's boring as heck. So we have weaved on these pack straps, and then all we're gonna do after that, we're gonna take this little clip that we see here, and we are just going to thread it through, and voila, we have backpack straps. So they're literally just clipped onto the webbing down here on both sides. It's fully mollied on here. This is not going to come off at all. It's actually pretty secure. And then we can go ahead, throw it on just like any other backpack. It's got some good sliders here. The sliders actually have some little one wrap to secure it, which is really nice and just make the straps not as long. We have a sternum strap, right? And some elastic. It's actually very comfortable and it's very usable. All right. The only issue is it looks like crap. The color difference between the 3F Supply Map Pack and this OD green from Condor looks like crap. I do not like it, and although it works really well and it requires zero sewing skills or any kind of, you don't have to get too crafty with it. You can literally just buy this product, throw it on, and it works. I don't like it. I think it is ugly, but it absolutely works. This is a very cheap and very fast solution. So what I'm going to show you next is a much cooler, but also way more involved and more skilled solution. What we have here is a pair of Eagle M9 medical pack straps. I really like these because they were readily available on eBay. They're about 20 bucks, which is cheap, just like the other solution I showed you. But these are made by Eagle, made in the USA, really high quality, and made me feel a lot better about actually using them. They're also very feature packed. They have, some Velcro going through that allowed me to use one of these little cable routers that I like to use for hydration straps. They've got webbing going all down them. And also the thing is, not only are they high quality, but they also look good, okay? Compared to the 3F Supply Map Pack, the color I think looks a lot better. Of course, these are real Eagle, they're old, so they have faded over time, but I can live with it. So let's actually take a look at how we can get these on to the 3F Supply Map Pack. So of course, we're going to have to connect them at the top. The solution that I've come up with to get them connected at the top requires no sewing. Okay, all I have here is a piece of 1-inch nylon, 1-inch wide nylon, and I just cut it long enough that it was going to be able to thread through here. And then I've got 2 tri-glides, okay? So we're going to use this first row of webbing up here, and we're going to slide the strap through like that. And you can get raw webbing off of Whiskey 24 on the internet. They have a lot of raw materials, same thing with the tri-glides. Very easy to pick those up. And then what you're going to do is you're going to want to get some Grimlocks, okay? So you want to make sure that you have enough room in here to connect those Grimlocks, okay? And these are just cheap Chinese-made Grimlocks that I got off eBay, or Amazon rather. And they're just super good enough. So what we're going to do after that is we are going to secure the tri-glide by passing it through one more time. So when you pass this through the tri-glide again like that, it locks it. So there's almost zero risk of this thing sliding through like we see right there. We can, if we don't lock it, it slides. We don't want it to slide. And here we've created a carry handle, all right? And the thing is, this might not look like a very secure attachment method, but it is, all right? The MOLLE webbing on here is all bar tacked. It's all super high quality. It's really well done. I do trust the webbing on here. And then also gives us a solid mounting platform for our straps. So then what we can do is we have this piece of nylon up here. We can pass that through. Same thing on the other side. And then there you go. You now have the straps connected at the top. Now you might be worried about, you know, the resilience of the Grimlock. Of course, something could push that button and then open it up. The thing is, when these things have tension on them, they really don't like to do that, right? You put enough tension on them, it takes a lot more force to open that up. However, for me personally, because this is a modular pack, I want to keep it as quick and versatile as possible. So I do like that I'm able to very quickly pop off the straps if need be. So I like the Grimlocks, I trust them, I haven't had any issues with them, and yeah, so I wouldn't be too worried. Now looking at the bottom, how the hell are we going to attach the bottom of the strap so we can actually wear it? Well, you're gonna have to get a little creative and probably have to steal grandma's sewing machine for a little bit. So here I've made 2 straps, and this was actually very quick and easy to do. So essentially all I did was I took some of that Ranger Green webbing that I got from Whiskey 24, and I was able to create my own little bottom slider straps. Now the way that I did that was I grabbed a little Nexus buckle that can clip in to the bottom there, right? And then I passed the webbing through that buckle. I just made a little loop at the end. And then I took my sewing machine and I did a little bar tack on there. Not a great bar tack, but it's good enough. And that's just gonna make sure that if you loosen this thing up, then it's going to catch like that, and it's not just going to pull straight through. Now, the way that I wanted to secure the bottom to the pack itself was using these weird little locks here. They're like tiny little Grimlock kind of things. Now, the way that these work is they can slide through webbing like that, and then they close. But the thing is, how do you actually get this piece of webbing to actually stay down here? Well, I don't really trust this little thing here because it is a very thin piece of plastic. So I want to make sure that it was replaceable. Now, the way that I did that was on the bottom of the strap, I made a loop, okay? Now, the way that I made that loop was not simply by touching both sides like that. What I actually did was I took the bottom, laying it flat, I instead made them touch like this. And then I did a little stitch across like that, and then it comes out looking like this. So then you can just slide this little guy onto here from the back, and all you do is you just pass the little buckle through there, and then slide that on through. And then there you go. It's securely attached, just like that. And then if you want to finally secure the bottom of this strap to the bottom of the pack, then you take this little piece, you slide it through that piece of side webbing. I don't use the inside part because it's uncomfy. I like to use the outside webbing. It clips into itself just like that, and then it just clips into itself. And then there you go. Now we've attached it at the top of the Grimlock. We've attached it at the bottom with this little piece right here. It's easily replaceable in case it fails. I'm using it a bit. I can't say I fully trust it yet, but it definitely works. You could do the same thing with a piece of Grimlock, but I kind of like the fact that this is a little bit harder to open down here, and when your arm is swinging, you're less likely to pop that up. And I just felt like this was a little bit more, low profile, lightweight, and more secure. And the other thing is that because these are so low profile, it doesn't get in the way of mounting MOLLE pouches. And then there you have it. You have Eagle M9 medical straps on your 3F Supply map pack. Now, what's really great about these straps is that they're really comfy. They've got a lot of padding. The other cool thing is that, of course, the way that we have mounted the top of the straps, we now have a carry handle up here. Carry handles are just very, very useful. So this is my favorite method of wearing it on my back. It works really, really well. It is super comfy. And then in this configuration, I have taken it on some hikes, more or less strenuous hikes, and everything works the way that it should. All right, so this is my favorite method of securing it. So although this is a really cool way of getting straps onto the map pack, even though they look really good, they feel really good, and I had a lot of fun brainstorming how to get these on here, I do think that these shoulder straps with this MOLLE mounting platform is a much better option for a consumer market. It doesn't require any sewing to get these on there. Okay, so if I was 3F Supply, I would definitely make something just like this, make it match this color, and then give people an aftermarket solution to get shoulder straps onto their assault pack. And then I think that a MOLLE mounting platform like this, with this kind of attachment method, could spin off into a whole ecosystem of different attachment methods for the map pack, right? So that you would not only have something like shoulder straps, but then you could have direct attachment methods for the map pack onto different kinds of plate carriers, or even like a direct mounting platform to something like the RRV, which they offer. And we are going to talk about that here in a bit. So that's it for the map pack as a backpack. Let's take a look at some other really cool ways that we can get this onto your kit. All right, so I showed you guys how to turn your backpack into a backpack. Cool. But next, I'm going to show you guys how to get it onto a plate carrier. Now, of course, being a MOLLE pack, it's very straightforward. Of course, you just weave the PALS webbing through the PALS webbing of your plate carrier, vest, or whatever you're using. But there's a few different ways that we can, once again, get creative. So the plate carrier that I have here is a Paraclete RMV. Now, what's great about plate carrier like this is the fact that it actually has a removable back panel. So that means that using some zippers on each side, as well as some Velcro, well, actually a lot of Velcro, you're able to very quickly and easily remove the map pack and that back panel from the plate carrier. So this map pack with the back panel that are married together, if they're totally MOLLE together, this can live in your ruck while you are rucking, and you have this nice slick rear plate bag so that it's very comfortable with the ruck. And then once you drop it, you can pull this out of your ruck, slap it on there, zip it up, and then you're super good to go, all right? So of course, if you have a plate carrier like the Paraclete RMV that has a really convenient removable back panel, then you can just directly MOLLE the map pack onto that back panel and then rely on the zippers and the Velcro to take it on and off. However, if you don't have a really convenient back panel, then if you just directly MOLLE this onto the back of the plate carrier, it's not going to come off very quick or easily, all right? Weaving all of this MOLLE again and again is not something that you want to do out in the field. And even for some of you that have a plate carrier that uses a removable back panel, like the AVS and the JPC, the back panels are extremely expensive. So if you do not want to have to pay big money for just a piece of nylon with some zippers on it, I'm going to show you a really quick and easy way to get the map pack on and off of a MOLLE plate bag. So of course, when it comes to weaving MOLLE, it's very slow and it's really annoying. But the Grimlocks are very quick, very easy, and they're also cheap. And because of the way that we set up the shoulder straps, you should have at least 4 lying around. So we'll then take those Grimlocks and we're going to space them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows apart, right? So then we're going to take the top and the bottom row of MOLLE, excluding the one that we have the carry handle going through. We can just leave that carry handle in place, which is nice about this. And then we can just match up those Grimlocks very easily. And then that one through the bottom. And there you go, you got it on there. So instead of weaving all that moly through, just 4 little clips and it's on there. Now the only issue with this is that there is a little bit of space in the middle here. So if you have this loaded up, it might be a little floppy. So if that's the case, then you can just add 1 more Grimlock here, 1 on each side, and then you are super good to go. So with the plate carrier on, this is what the mat pack looks like, Grimlocked onto the back. It's on there really well, it's really solid, it's not gonna go anywhere. Now of course there's no weight in here, but it's not floppy, it is very well secured. And again, if you got a lot of weight in it and you do feel it flopping around, 2 more Grimlocks and you're super good to go. So the cool thing about this Paraclete RMV is the fact that it has a very long rear plate bag with a lot of moly real estate. So that means when you mate up this mat pack with the back of this plate carrier, there is no overhang. And what I mean by that is if you do have something like a Crye AVS or a JPC, those things are a lot shorter because they're basically just like a moly wrap around a rear plate. It's not a whole vest like this RMV. So with that shorter plate bag, you're going to get some overhang with the mat pack, right? And the thing about a backpack is that when you put things inside of it, they usually sink to the bottom. So if it's hanging off the bottom of that plate bag, then well, all that weight down here is probably gonna flop around. It's not super great. So here's a really cool trick that I learned a really long time ago. Okay, so I've got this thing mostly mollied on, but as you can see the way I have it set up, I'm a little bit below the top of the rear plate bag, and we've got some overhang down here at the bottom. Now, like I was saying, if you've got weight in here, it's gonna be down here, it's gonna flop around. Not really great. It's also gonna negatively interact with like any belt kit that you may have, like a gun belt. So what we're going to do is we're going to shorten this guy up. Now the way that we're gonna do that is we are going to stop a little bit from the bottom of the rear plate bag, and we're going to stop once we've gone through and finished through the moly of the plate carrier. Now on the bottom of the mat pack, you might be able to see we have some moly webbing here, right? 1, 2, 3 pieces of webbing. So what we're gonna do is we're actually going to fold up the mat pack, and then instead of going through the back of the mat pack, we're gonna go through the bottom like that. And then we're just going to continue weaving like we normally would. And here you can see that it has been shortened up, and I'll show you how to finish off here in a second. So after that, I think the best course of action is really not to go through this last piece of moly, but actually to just kind of slide it up through, because you can see we got these tails hanging out here. Best course of action is probably just to route it back through itself. So we're gonna pretty much finish this thing off the way that like a Paraclete pouch would tuck into itself, or even like the Crye Smart pouches, how they do that, right? So now we have a much shorter little mat pack on the back here. And of course, this is a very big plate carrier, so it doesn't look correct. But if we were to have a shorter plate carrier, like an AVS or JPC or like an FCPC, this is very useful, right? But the thing is, 3F Supply doesn't just offer repros of the MBAV and the MBSS. They also have a really awesome repro of the Eagle RRV. All right, so next I'm gonna show you guys how you can get your mat pack onto the back of your RRV. Now, of course, 3F Supply also offers a repro of the RRV, which is a chest rig. The thing about chest rigs is they don't have a rear plate bag, so you don't have anywhere to moly mount the mat pack. So what can you do about that? Now, one of the coolest things about the RRV is that it's actually part of the larger ecosystem from Eagle Industries. When we think of an ecosystem, we think of like the Crye AVS, where it has all these different components that you can scale up or scale down, but Eagle was doing this way back in the day. So what's really cool about the RRV is that you can actually attach the rear plate bag from the Eagle MBAV, okay? So Eagle makes the RRV, Eagle makes the MBAV. You can take the rear plate bag off the MBAV, and then you can hook it up to the RRV. So the way that it does that is it has these little extra pieces of webbing in here to slide the shoulder straps of the RRV through, and then you can tuck the straps into the inside here. And it's also got some buckles up here. I'm gonna show you how to do that in a second. But essentially what this is, it's just a full moly panel on the back here. So here I've got my khaki mat pack here. I've got a couple little flashbang pouches, but this whole thing is just one big piece of moly. So not only is this, you know, a rear plate bag, something that can hold a armor plate, but this is also just a really nice way of getting a moly mounting platform for your mat pack onto your RRV, okay? So I'm gonna show you guys how this works. All right, so first of all, you're gonna take this ear from the rear plate bag and you're gonna slide it through the elastic, and then you're gonna tuck it in behind that piece. On the RRV, we have this buckle here. This is actually a little piece that you add on. It's got a little button snap in here that routes through the shoulder strap, and then you clip it in like that. And then you're just gonna do that on both sides. So this slides through, tucks behind there. And then back here on the rear plate bag, you're going to take the straps and you're gonna weave them through this piece of webbing here. And this is just gonna make sure that it's out of the way. And it basically transforms this thing from an H or an X harness chest rig into a plate carrier, which is really cool. And then these pieces of webbing down here at the bottom, you're gonna roll those up. And then you're gonna tuck them down into here. And you're just gonna get those out of the way. So here, when you open up the bottom of the rear plate bag, this is where you will put the rear plate in. So down here, where you see the loop Velcro that this flap Velcros onto, they've got these really nice little channels that you can slide the buckle through. And you can actually see the buckles poking out at the bottom there, right? So this gives you a lot of really nice padding back here. This isn't just like a simple piece of nylon that you put a plate in. This has padding, it feels good, and it's actually an incredibly solid way of getting the mat pack onto your RRV. So the way that you don this is that you just slide it over your head, and once you got that on, it's just going to clip on each sides with these big old buckles here at the left and the right. Not the easiest thing to do, but at least there's no annoying Velcro. And then what's really nice about the way that this rear plate bag is set up is that instead of having to like reach behind you and like pull it, you can actually just kind of pull outwards that way and it tightens up. It's really cool. It's a really simple system. It's actually a lot easier to get on than if you're actually just using the RRV with the H or the X harness. So this is what the mat pack looks like attached to the RRV using that back panel. It's very comfortable. It's on there really well. It doesn't flop around or anything like that. So I actually like it a lot. The only downside to this is the fact that this basically is just a plate carrier at this point. It's kind of lost most of the attributes of a chest rig because now you have a rear plate bag that is not very breathable, and then you've got a big old chest rig that feels like a front plate bag. So it's kind of like a plate carrier without the plates, just less sloppy, right? Plate carriers are meant to have plates in them. If you don't put the plates in them, it feels like crap. This thing feels a lot better, but again, not very breathable, not super lightweight. But aside from that, the biggest issue is actually getting this rear plate bag. Okay, this rear plate bag was hard enough to find in khaki, and khaki is one of the easier colorways to find Eagle stuff. But especially if you have a Ranger Green RRV, trying to get the Ranger Green rear plate bag for just the rear plate bag is really hard. So the thing is, because 3F Supply already makes the MBSS and they already make the MBAV, they already have the rear plate bag for this thing already made. So if I was 3F Supply, I would just have a hell of a lot more of the rear plate bags for the plate carriers, and then I would sell those standalone so that people could, when they get the really awesome Repro RRVs and the really awesome Repro mat packs, have a really awesome mounting method of getting that mat pack onto the RRV, all right? But that's just me, okay? All right, so that is how you get the mat pack onto the RRV using the rear plate bag, okay? If you didn't already know that the rear plate bag is cross-compatible with the plate carriers and the RRV, now you know. It's actually super cool. But again, this is no longer a chest rig. This feels like a plate carrier, okay? So what I'm gonna show you next is actually how to get the mat pack onto the RRV using some unconventional methods. Now, some of you might think, well, just wear it as a backpack. You know, you already showed us how to make some really cool backpack straps. Well, just don it as a backpack, and if you want to get something out of it, just get it your damn self. Why not just throw the pack on like a normal backpack while wearing an RRV? Makes a lot of sense. Look, it's on there, everything's good, it's not interfering with anything, except for the fact that I now have like 2 inches of padding on my shoulder here. Backpack straps do not interact well with web gear, okay? Plate carriers, body armor, and even some chest rigs, especially like the RRV that have really, really thick shoulder padding, they negatively interact with backpack straps when it comes to something like shouldering your weapon. All right, so here we have a unloaded Mark 12 for you nerds. If you're using something like a big old A2 stock, which was very prevalent way back when, this is not conducive for getting good stock connection, especially when you have something like a magnified optics that has eye relief, right? Because if your head needs to be up here, like if you had something like an ACOG, and then your whole shoulder padding thing going on here is pushing your gun out way too far, that's not good, all right? That is not conducive to things like a raid or an assault. So that's what makes this thing an assault pack, the fact that it is not going to negatively interfere with your ability to shoot and fight. You want to have a good, deep connection into your shoulder pocket, and all this padding, no bueno. And also, if you do not have a back panel to molly this thing or grimlock it onto, well, how do you get it on? And that's what I'm going to show you right now. All right, so if you want to get the MAP pack onto the back of your RRV, this is what you got to do. All right, so if you have your shoulder straps on here, like I showed you to do in the beginning, well, you're just going to take those off. These shoulder straps can either go inside of your pack for later, or you can just ditch them, put them in a storage bin for now, okay? So next, you're gonna undo these molly straps. And then what you're gonna do in order to attach it to your RRV, we're going to need this little coupler here. Now, 3R Supply does actually reproduce these little H-Harness adapters. So instead of doing the crisscross applesauce and having an X-harness, instead you can use this coupler, and then it's a H-harness. It's nice because it's A, it's comfy, and B, it works really well for attaching the MAP pack. What you're gonna do is, once you have these shoulder straps coupled together, you'll slide it on over the back side of the MAP pack, and then you will pull those PAL straps through. So this coupler is going to take up 1 row of molly, and then you're going to slide it through 3 more rows, all right? So you skip 1 from the top, slide it through 3, and then you'll have 2 rows left at the bottom here. Then you'll take the back strap for the RRV, right? And then you'll place it in between those 2 rows. Then again, you'll skip a row and then slide through that last row of PALs, molly, and then snap it at the bottom. The reason that you want to slide it through this last row is because the way that these snap buttons work is that if you pull away like that, they come undone. But if you pull upwards, they don't like to come undone. And having this last row being secured doesn't really allow this back strap to then put outward tension on that snap button. All right, I know this is pretty jerry-rigged, but it does work, and I'll show you how it looks here in a second. All right, and so like I showed you before, the RRV with just the MAP pack slides over your head, but unlike before, you are actually going to use the shoulder straps of the RRV. Real pain in the butt to tighten it up yourself. Now, of course, the back strap down here at the bottom, you're going to secure that on one side, and then make sure it's not all tangled up, and then you'll secure it on the other side. Now the issue is it's really floppy, so then you gotta get underneath it, you gotta try to tighten it up as best as you can. It's a huge pain in the butt because it's just not meant to do this. This is a lot easier if you have a buddy. And here you can see it's on there, it works and it feels good, all right? When you do have weight inside of here, it does have a tendency to slide back and forth on that back strap. You can kind of feel that when you're like in a full tilt sprint, but it's good. It feels good, it looks good. Honestly, this is a real Eagle RRV. This is the real Ranger green. All the pouches on here are legit, and the color matching between the 3F Supply matte pack and this RRV looks awesome. This looks the part and it feels good. And the best part is when you have even an A2 length stock, it feels great. There's nothing inhibiting this deep shoulder pocket connection. And then of course you have perfect eye relief. That's exactly where I want it to be. Super, super awesome, okay? So if you're just trying to get the matte pack onto your RRV as quickly as possible, doing no extra modifications, that is all you need to do, all right? You just need an RRV and then you need that coupler that 3F Supply sells. Now, like I just showed you with the Eagle SFLCS with the back panel, the Paraclete RMV, either using Grimlocks or molly mounting it to a removable back panel, they all have the same issue, which is you can't get anything out of your assault pack. If there's something in here, you can't get to it unless you take all of this off. So, you know, of course, that's the best part about having a regular backpack is it can come on and off. You know, especially if you have a big heavy ruck, you can quickly ditch it so that you can, you know, fight better. But when you have an assault pack like this, the theory is that you're with a team and someone can get it for you. But that's not always the case, is it? So I'm going to show you one last thing. I'm going to show you how you can get to what's in your pack by yourself. So the last thing I'm going to show you is another way to directly mount the matte pack to the RRV. Now you may have noticed these straps on my Ranger Green RRV here, and these are actually the same thing that we see on the khaki ones, right? It's just the way that we mount the rear plate bag to the RRV. On the khaki ones, it's an updated version that uses this little piece of button snap. They're much more low profile. But the older ones that we see on the RLCS line literally molly on to the shoulder straps directly, like that. So if you have the Ranger Green RRV, you're just gonna get these guys. They're pretty cheap and pretty available. I think that they were like 10 bucks for a 2-pack. And, you know, they're legit. They're Ranger Green, they look good. So then once you have those on, it's gonna give you these 2 Nexus buckles here, right? So on my right side, right, the side that's gonna have my buttstock, I like to just secure it through both of these pieces of elastic. And then on the left side, I just leave it free, all right? And then on the matte pack, what you're gonna do is you're just gonna weave the molly all through the PALS webbing, and then you're just going to leave that one space down here at the bottom for the back strap once again. So nothing's changing there. It's just that we are no longer going to be using this top row to mount it to that coupler. Now the biggest difference is that up here on the carry handle, we're going to attach 2 little Nexus repair buckles. And those are what are going to attach to these rear plate adapters, okay? Now, some of you might already see where this is going, and I'm just gonna put it on and show you what it looks like. So you're gonna don the RRV just like you normally would with either an X or an H harness. What's cool about this is that if you prefer the X harness, then you can wear it like that. You don't need that coupler, the H-Harness Adapter, and you'll just secure those shoulder straps. Of course, the back strap is attached to your matte pack, and here you can see it weaved down in there. And you're actually gonna hold it just like this, facing away from you. And you're gonna take that strap that's just kind of hanging about, and you're gonna clip it right in like that. You wanna make sure that you grab onto that other buckle, and then you'll clip it onto the other side. And then just like before, you'll just secure that back strap through the matte pack, and it's on. All right, and so this is actually way more comfortable than when you attach it onto the H-Harness Adapter, because instead of the matte pack feeling like it's trying to pull away from your back because it's just kind of like hanging on by that little piece of webbing, this is now fully supported by the full surface area of the shoulder strap, So instead of feeling like it's pulling away from your back, it feels totally supported by the shoulder pad, these big, thick RRV shoulder pads. So it's way more comfortable. And not only that, but you can actually get whatever's inside of your pack by yourself just by undoing one clip and then the back strap, and it's in your hands. So if you're familiar with Shaw Concepts, then you'll know that I kind of stole this concept from his plate carrier pack, or the PCP. It's the same idea of two buckles up top. You only undo one up top and then you undo both down at the bottom, and then it swings over and it's tethered on by the other strap, and then you can get whatever's out of there yourself. You don't have to rely on a teammate, and then very quickly and easily put it back onto your back, and then you're good to go. What's nice about this is the fact that you don't need to, use a sewing machine. You don't have to custom make anything. It's just all readily available materials. So that's pretty much it for me. That was kind of like my magnum opus. I was really proud of myself that I was able to adapt the Shaw Concepts plate carrier pack idea to the RRV and mat pack. So hopefully this was helpful to you. I really like the mat pack because there's just so many cool ways that you can adapt this to different setups. It's really fun to play around with, and I had a good time just thinking up and brainstorming different ways that you could adapt it to different carriers, chest rigs, or even just different ways to make it look kind of cool. So thank you guys so much for watching. I want to thank 3F Supply for giving the Eagle RLCS line some love and reproducing such a cool piece of kit. I also want to thank Venture Surplus for not only sending this out to me, but also for giving you guys that 10% off discount code. So if you do want to pick one of these up, you can use that code and get 10% off this really awesome repro pack that's under $100, honestly. So I highly recommend this. I think it's really cool. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you learned something, and I'll see you in the next one.